Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Balaji, and in today's AWS Masterclass, we are diving into one of the most important topics in cloud security, AWS IAM or Identity and Access Management. Whether you are preparing for a certification, working in DevOps, or just starting your AWS journey, this one's for you. Let's get started. Let us first see what is AWS IAM. AWS IAM helps us to securely control access to our AWS resources. It helps us to manage permissions to define who can access which resources in our AWS account. AWS IAM is like the security guard of our AWS account. It controls authentication and authorization in our AWS account. And the best part, it comes at no additional cost. Now let's see the difference between authentication and the authorization. Authentication is the process of verifying who you are, which means imagine you want to log into our AWS account. So in this case, we can authenticate using our username and password, or we can also use multi-factor authentication. Once we get logged into our AWS account, then we need to use AWS resources such as S3, EC2, etc. For that purpose, we need some authorization to use those resources. There comes the authorization process. It is the process of determining what actions or resources you are allowed to access. For example, granting access to S3 buckets, EC2 instances based on our role or permission. Before going to the next slide, I will show you the difference between authentication and authorization in a simple diagrammatic way so that you can understand it better. Now let's try to understand authentication and authorization in a simple way. Imagine person X is visiting a secured office building. To get inside, he need to show his ID card to the security guard. This is like providing username and password in AWS. This is called authentication, which means proving our identity. Once the security validates the ID card of person X, he will be allowed inside the building, but he can go anywhere. Based on his ID card or role in the company, he may only be allowed to either ODC 1 or ODC 2. Because if he can be allowed to all the ODCs, it will create a security issue. This is authorization, controlling what resources one can access. In AWS IAM, this is exactly how it works. You can authenticate using a user account, and your access is determined by policy attached to that user or their role. In IAM, we work with a few key identities that help define who is accessing your resources and how. Users. This represent individual people or services that interact with AWS. Think of them as actual logins for devs or apps. Groups. A collection of users that share the same permission. This make it easier to manage access when you have multiple users with similar roles. Policies. These are JSON documents that define what actions are allowed or denied. Policies are attached to users, groups, or roles and control permissions. Roles. Instead of being tied to a specific user, roles are meant to be assumed temporarily. They are perfect for EC2 instances, Lambda functions, or even users in another AWS accounts. Here are some powerful features IAM brings to the table. Granular permissions. IAM lets you control access at a very fine level. For example, you can allow a user to read from an S3 bucket but deny them the ability to delete objects. Temporary credentials. With IAM roles and services like STS, you can provide temporary access instead of hard coding access keys. MFA, multi-factor authentication. You can add an extra layer of security by requiring a second form of authentication like a mobile OTP. Federated access. IAM integrates with corporate identities like Active Directory using SAML or third-party logins. Cross-account access. You can allow a role in account A to be assumed by user or service in account B. This is widely used in enterprise setups. So that's a high-level look at AWS IAM. Whether you are a beginner or brushing up before an interview or certification, mastering IAM is key to securing your AWS environment. Now let's move to the demo section. I will show you how to create IAM users, IAM groups, roles and policies. We are currently in our AWS console. I have used my root account to log into the AWS console. Since it's a root account, it will have all the privileges. Due to security purposes, we should not use root account in our day-to-day activities. We should use IAM to create IAM users, and then we can assign permissions to the IAM users using policies, and then we can use it in our day-to-day activities. Now we log into the IAM and we create a user. As you see here, my AWS account currently has only one user, which I have created a long back for some other purposes. That is a Terraform user. So for this demo, we will create one more user. So I'm gonna name the user as dev user. So it is asking whether this user should be provided with AWS Management Console. Yeah, I want to give. So now it's asking some questions to us. It is asking whether we want to use Identity Center or IAM user to create this user. I want to go with the IAM user. So it is asking auto-generated password or custom password. I'm gonna give a dummy password. I will give some dummy password as devops at 123. If you see, I have just given a dummy password. I will delete the user after the demo. So I'm just showing the password for your understanding. So it is asking us user must create a new password at next in. So this prompt whether we can give a yes or no. So I'm going to give yes. So I'm going to the next option. So currently it is asking, yeah, a user has been created. So what kind of permissions you are going to give to it? Either we can add it to a group, or else we can attach the permissions or policies directly. For now, I don't want to attach anything. I just want a user without any privileges or permissions. So if you see here, we are going to the review section. So I'm gonna go and create user password. Oh, sorry. Now we have created the user. As you see, it is mentioning you can view and download the user's password and email instructions for signing into the AWS Management Console. So we have created one user. That user is called dev user. So now just go and log into the user and see how the console is. Uh, this is the console URL which we can use. Let's open a new incognito window and then we try to log into the IAM user which we created. So what the username we created is dev user and the password is. If you remember when we created the user, it mentioned that when the user first time log into the console, he or she need to reset the password. So it's asking the old password. So I'm gonna give it. So I'm gonna change it to another new password. Now we can go and see inside the console. If you remember, we didn't attach any permission to this user, so that it will not allow us to use any option. If you see here, access denied due to service catalog. Even if I want to access anything EC2, S3 or whatever, it will show the same permission issue because uh, we have done the authentication, but the authorization is preventing the user to go and use any services because we didn't attach any permission. Uh, why the authentication allowed is because we have a username and password used that we authenticated into the console. But to access the resources inside, we need to have some permission attached. So that is the authorization part. Even if I go and click on launch instance, it will not allow me to do it. Let me try. See, even we can't able to select anything, any options here inside. It's telling you are not authorized. So this is how powerful IAM is. You see, like we have a user, but since we don't attach the necessary permission, uh, this user is just a useless. We can't do anything with this user. So now we again go back into our root console and we try to add some permissions to this user. We can either attach the permissions directly on the user, or else we can create some groups and we attach the permission to that group and we can add the user there. So I just want to show you to create groups and how we can attach permission to the group. So now I'm going to create one group. So the group name will be admin. So it is asking which user you want to add. So I'm giving the dev user. So it is asking permission to attach permission. So I just want to attach full permission, that is administrator access. So now I go and create user group. So we have created one group and attached the admin permission on that, and we have attached the dev user which we created just now and attached it to the admin group. So since our dev user is part of this admin group, he will receive all the permission which has been attached to our admin group, which means now you can access anything inside our console. Let's go and check it out. Let me refresh. Now we will try and go and see whether we can do anything. So now I'm going to launch an instance. Let's name this instance as demo s3 read. So I want to go with the Amazon Linux AMI, and I'm not choosing anything, changing anything in the AMI and all. So I just want it to be default. So for keeper, I will create one new keeper. I will just name it as also demo one. So VPC also I want it to be default, and I will create one security group which will allow SSH traffic and also HTTPS. So I want the EBS also to be default 8 gig of GP3. So I just go and create the instance. If you remember last time when we tried to create the instance, even we cannot able to choose the options, like it was throwing error. Now we are able to go and even create a instance, so which means our user, I mean our dev user, now got the permissions to create a instance thanks to our admin group. We have attached the permission to the admin group. Now our user get those permissions, and now he is able to do everything within the AWS console. So see, our instance has been created. Now you may have a question that we have attached the administrator permission to this IAM user. So this can it be similar to our root account? I will say using this user we can achieve everything within our AWS console. But only one thing is we cannot deal with the building kind of a things. Those building kind of a things are only allowed for the root account. So that is the difference between a admin account or a IAM user account which has admin privileges, and when it just compared to the root account, that is the only difference. See here, everything was access denied. Let's go and try to check it in the bills. Here also we're having the permission as denied. Even though we attached the admin permissions, it is not showing us because it is not a root account. Let's now go to the root account and we try to see the buildings and all. It will show us. If you see here we are not getting any errors. We are able to see the data. So that is the main difference between a root account and a admin account created out of a IAM user. With this demo, I hope you guys can understand how we can create a user and how we can create a group and how we can attach permissions to our users and groups. Now let's move to see how we can create roles in the AWS console. Now we will go and create one role. So it is asking entity type. So I just going to attach this role to a EC2 machine. So I'm just using the AWS service entity. And what is the use case? It is asking the use case. So since I want to attach to a EC2 machine, I just give the use case as EC2, and it is asking granular level of use case. So I'm giving the option as allow EC2 instance to call AWS services on your behalf. So I'm just using this option. I will go next. So now we will select the policies. So using this role, I just want to read or list out what are the AWS buckets which are present in our current account. So I will just use a S3 read only policy. So I'm just collecting it and I'm going to next section. So here I will just name this as AWS S3 read for EC2. This is the role name I'm giving it. If you remember, we have already seen in the theory session that the permission policies are written in JSON. So we are going to view the same. So this is the policy we are using. This policy is allowing us to list out the S3 buckets. So I'm going to create this role. So now we have seen that the role has been created. Amazon S3 read-only access. We have attached the permission and the role has been created. So now I will show you how this role will be helpful for us. Now we again go into our IAM user console. Since we have attached the administrator permission to the IAM user, whatever we just did in using the root console to create a role, we can also use our IAM user to create it. Now we'll just go into the EC2 console and we will just try to SSH into the EC2 machine which we just created. This is the instant demo S3 read we just created a moment before. I'll just try to SSH into it. I'm trying to SSH using the EC2 Instance Connect. Now we have SSH into the machine successfully. So now using AWS command line interface, I will try to list out the buckets which are currently present in our AWS account. So if I go here, AWS S3 LS, so it is telling unable to locate credentials. You can configure credentials by running AWS configure. Because since we are trying to access another service using this, it needs some kind of credentials to authorize. So now we are going to supply these credentials via the roles. So we again go back to the IAM console, and we are seeing now which this is the role we have created, AWS S3 read for EC2. Since this role we have been created to attach to a EC2 instance, because here we are not using any user to read a particular data. We are asking this EC2 machine to read data from the S3. So since this EC2 is requiring the permissions, we are going to attach this role to our EC2 instance. So this how we can achieve is, we can go back to the EC2 console. So if you go here into the actions, into security, we can see modify IAM role. So earlier we don't attach any role to this EC2 machine. So now I'm going to give AWS S3 read for EC2. So now I'm going to update the IAM role. So now if I again try to access into this machine, so now we have again logged into the machine via SSH. Now if I go AWS S3 ls, it is showing the S3 bucket which is available in our account. So the bucket name is log files archive. So we can even confirm the same. If I go to S3, so log files archive, that is the bucket available in our account, and our EC2 machine was able to list out it. So this is how we can use AWS roles. This is one of the use case. So now we have seen how we can create roles and attach permissions, and how we can use it for our purposes. I hope you guys have liked this video. I hope it will help you guys to understand AWS IAM in a much better way. If you like this video, please do subscribe and share the video with your friends and families. I will see you guys in another video with a interesting concept.